Big dreams need big work, but what if I tell you your hard work is not the missing ingredient to becoming rich? It's your fear. In this video, we are going to be talking about what is fear, what type of fear may be stopping you, and what you can do to fast track your way to growth and wealth. Fear truly is one of our biggest enemies. Dr. Carl Albrecht defines 5 types of fears that we have today: extinction, mutilation, loss of autonomy, separation, and ego death. Now, these might sound like some extreme fears, but neuroscience studies suggest that these are still very much relevant today and can be applied to our day-to-day in conceptual terms. So let's take an example here. Let's say you identify as X, but anytime you decide to start something new and maybe evolve into a Y, which may be better for you, you pause. Now, because this is an identity transforming change, you will have to let go of your identity of X to accept your identity of Y. And though Y may be the right evolution step for you, but because the first fear of extinction shows up, you fear pushing forward. So even though extinction may sound drastic, it still shows up in our individual lives in the form of identity loss or behavior change. But more often than not, the most common are loss of autonomy, separation, and ego death. Now, loss of autonomy mostly shows up when we are feeling helpless or powerless, and for some could even show up as a fear of commitment, because that means that you're feeling trapped or confined. Let's jump to separation, which is when our need for belonging is questioned. And let's be frank, we're all social animals for a reason and need that support system all the time. And finally, the 5th one, which is ego death. It can come up as an intense fear of failure or criticism, and I personally have fought this fear time and again. More often than not, I would go numb the moment somebody put me in front of a large gathering. And guess what? Today, in my career, I lead training and coaching for large groups of people. So let me share how this happened and how I still continue to work on myself to get me out of my fear mode into my growth mode and ultimately turn that into wealth. So first step is recognition. It's that moment when you start to stress. Your blood pressure rises, your heart rate increases, you start to breathe faster, and for some, it may also feel pukish. It literally is like a freeze, fight, or run response and can be extremely scary. But the moment I realize my fists are tightening and I am feeling numb, I begin my step 2, which is acknowledge and reason. And it's not, okay, I'm feeling fearful, but actually whispering to myself, my body is feeling the fear. Listen again. My body is feeling the fear, not I, not me, but my body. So what I am doing here is separating the fear from I, the person. And the moment I do that, I start to slow down a bit. But that's where I push in reason in my head. Not demanding I should not feel fear, but instead asking, why is the fear creeping up? This, in my fear-facing process, is called fear setting. So we hear of goal setting a lot, but what has personally helped me was fear setting. Fear comes when our mind is thinking of the worst case scenario. So like goal setting, it is important to call out the goals. In this case, we call out the fear. So I state my fear. Okay, so I am going up on the stage and fumble. Take that fear setting a step further. Follow that chain of thought, and in my case, I go, perfect, then what? What if I fumble? I will embarrass myself and those that rely on my work. I will not be able to share the knowledge with the groups of employees, and hence, they will lose out on important information. But then what? We're continuing to grow on that chain of thought. Well, they will not be able to do the work, and in my worst case scenario, my role would not be required at work. Well, so the worst case scenario here is I don't have a job. The moment I put this into words, I understand my fear, but that is not all. We all need to evaluate the potential downside of inaction as well. Well, if I don't go up on the stage, the worst case scenario is the same. I will not be considered necessary at work and I could be eliminated. Well, if both the situations have the same result, but only one of the situations has it as a worst case scenario, going up on the stage does not sound so bad anymore. So measure the cost of inaction, realize its unlikelihood and the reality of the situation. The moment we give reason to fear, fear subsides. Now let's see how overcoming fear turns into money. Now fear is when we accept the situation as is and are unwilling to face it and overcome it. So what happens? We don't push forward to take the risk, we don't take action, and we don't let the challenge turn into an opportunity. Fear is what keeps us in the spiral of job security. The fear is what keeps us living from paycheck to paycheck. What this means is the entrepreneurs and the businesses of the world today would not have stood if they had let fear in the way. They would not have been able to build massive wealth and growth if they just sat behind their fear. And if you want to learn a little bit more about fear, I would suggest Susan Jeffers' book called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. It's definitely worth its value in gold if you have big fears to conquer. But if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to smash that like button and also subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I will see you in my next video next week. But until then, you take care, love yourself, and stay brave. Bye.